Hey, we got some viewers. Hello, hello. Welcome to another session of Midwest Mujeres. Dia de las Madres. We have so many beautiful women here wanting to meet with you. Jada Rios from Axios Coaching, Jasmine Lopez, Shadira Kilfoy Flores, and Stephanie are all here to join us and talk today about what it means to be a Latina mother. What does it mean to be a mujer en este día de hoy in 2022 in Madison, Wisconsin? Gracias. Welcome, y'all. I'm so happy to see you all. And now we're going to add on the rest of these mujeres chingonas. Hello. Welcome. I am so excited to see you all here. It looks like Shadira Kilfoy got her background all changed up right quick for us. I'm loving that background, Shady. Look at you. Shady and I have been doing this.
I couldn't make it littler because I love the whole picture of the obsidian butterfly woman. So
Yes. And then we have Jada Rios as well. I like in that background, Jada. Woo.
How come you're seeing my background? I'm not seeing myself.
No, it took a while. I think it's lagging, and that's just broadcast because we see this beautiful like living room space with like this really
yes.
So I know you were kind of like, hey, about my background. We also got Jasmine from Kashmira Cleaning as well, who has started her own platform too. Welcome, Jasmine.
Hello, everybody.
And welcome, Stephanie.
Buenas tardes. My allergies are on 10,000. So if it's okay with y'all, I'm going to stay off camera. My eyes are puffy. But I'm happy to be in this space with y'all. And I'm happy to welcome spring. I mean, if I'm feeling this way, it's because babies are being born and the sun is shining and things are blooming. So
things are blooming. Thank you all for watching us today. Please share. Please keep on watching and sharing our video. We have Yaras as well. Brooks from her marketing agency. Oh my gosh, I've just been sharing space with all these beautiful women lately and just getting to know their businesses and their platforms, and we're so excited to have them part of it today. Probably all the way from Milwaukee. Hello. Yeah.
Can you excuse me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. I don't know. I've never used StreamYard before. I'm trying to figure it out. But in the meantime, hello everyone. Thank you, Araceli, for inviting me, and I'm trying to figure this out so you guys can see me.
No worries. It does take a hot minute. And I do see that you're logged in 2 places. So, or there might be
I am. Let me see.
And then I think it kicked out Jasmine. But at the top, I read Dia de las Madres. Ya digan, ahí te veo, ya te veo. Perfecto. Entonces, el otro, si quieres cancelarlo o lo quito.
Okay.
Ahí está Jasmine.
You can delete the other one.
Okay, I will. We were just in a planning meeting for the Yo Quiero Dinero evento que vamos a tener coming up, and I wanted us just to like, I mean, I'm not here to talk about just this event, but I just wanted to just notate that some of y'all have been planning this with me for a couple months now, and thank you so much for that community support and love. And that's why I wanted to celebrate Dia de las Madres Mexican style. And my own story about this day started like 3-4 years ago. I would, as you all know, I'm like a teacher as well in the district as a substitute teacher and a teaching artist. And I was there at a DLI, dual language immersion classroom, and they were all preparing the kids for Dia de las Madres, for Mother's Day, but they were going to do the one that's before the American one. And the kids were like, no, but el martes va a ser Dia de las Madres también. And there was silence from the teacher. And so I really wanted to declare today, like, this is another time period. We should be another time in our culture, in Latino culture, because I know for like other South American countries, it's different days. It's not just on the first Sunday of the month of May. So we have different days and different cultures being represented here with us as well. And so I'm excited to have you all here. Would you all want to like introduce ourselves and talk about like how many kids we have and like what is your biz? What's your main jam? Like what are you struggling with? And what are you like literally killing? Like what are you accomplishing as a chingona mother? So how many kids you have and what is super challenging? And number 3, like what are you like excelling? What are you killing? As I call it. Who wants to go? Hola, hola. We got some holas coming in.
Okay.
I can go first.
Gracias.
Okay, so my name is Jasmine Lopez. I have 2 children. Angel is 13 and Camila is 7. Um, Angel is like full Hispanic because he's half Mexican and half Cuban. Camila is Mexican and African American, but if you ask her, she's black. She is so pro-black. So it's like she's Mexican sometimes, but most of the time she's a black baby.
Beautiful.
And as you guys know, I started my cleaning business this year. It thanks to you, Araceli and Yara. I'm thinking about my networking group on Facebook that I have. I want to turn it into a non-profit corporation. But that's something that I want to work on later when I'm not as busy as I am right now. Um, and yeah, that's it. And
What's the name
I
of your
just,
business?
it's called Catarisma Cleaning.
Charisma.
And it's Catarisma. It means cleaning in Greek.
What? I've always wanted
Yeah.
to know that about you. I never knew. I'm putting that right in the comments for y'all to like go look at her Facebook page. What I really love, Jasmine, tell us about that online community group. Like, why are you trying to build that? Like, that's where you're killing right now. Is this like amazing online community group that you started around your activism and like the intersectionality of your activism and like and what you're doing right now is cleaning. Like, how are you like unionizing it? It sounds like you're starting a little cleaning union there.
Yeah. So so a lot of people that I know that clean that have a business, but it's like a small business, a lot of them clean by themselves.
Yeah.
And I noticed that on other Facebook groups. And they always losing money because if they get sick or they can work, they have to cancel their appointments. So I was like, okay, maybe if I kind of team up with other cleaners, I can have them clean for me if I get sick. And then I just pay them part of the cleaning job and I keep the other part. Or even if they just take the whole profit, then I won't, miss that client. So that's what the idea was behind it. And so I kind of started looking through Facebook for people that had that type of stuff. And I met another lady that we actually did that with each other. We helped each other during COVID.
Yes.
So I just started just advertising it more on Facebook so other people will come up to us. And I found some of the ladies that they were just starting with their cleaning business. There was this one girl that she was giving away free cleanings to gain clients.
Okay.
And I invited her to the group and I told her, I'm like, don't do that because you are just throwing away money. A lot of these people are they may not hire you. They will just use that opportunity to get something for free. And she was like, what do you think I should do? So I kind of told her what I've been doing. And it just feels like there's a lot of them, they need so much guidance, like just like me, like we know how to clean. That's probably why we want to do it. But the business
Right.
side is the scary part. And for a lot of them, I noticed that they asking questions about taxes, payroll, and that type of stuff. So that's what I think it will be good to turn it into a nonprofit and help them to get trained. Like just give them more resource. And a lot of them, they don't have insurance. They have insurance for the business, but no health insurance for themselves. So, like work towards making their business something that they can rely on financially, in a way, but also to run a business to
And to be a
like,
mom too, have the time
yeah.
and the flexibility to be a mom and like being that example. Like, how has having this business helped you be a better mom for both of your kids?
So they got really excited at the beginning, and they would like give my business cards to other people, which is really cute. But I don't think they expect me to work as much as I am doing it right now. So I did notice that they like more clingy when I'm at home, and
Mm,
because of course they ask for more of my time. And but I try to include them on activities. So like my daughter helps me to seal envelopes with thank you cards, and
oh my gosh, it's like a
or
whole like family production. You guys are all like,
yeah,
yeah,
or like if I have to go to a client's house, sometimes my son comes with me. So I try to include them as much as I can on whatever is safe for them to. Um, but I just keep reminding them that this is not just for the money, but just to, that's something that they may inherit from me. So like if they get older and they want to keep on the business, they don't have to start from scratch. They can just,
right.
jump and take over. So yeah, hopefully.
My gosh. Thank you so much, Jasmine, for sharing your beautiful story with us about how you like came back from the pandemic, started a Facebook group, and you're rocking and rolling, making some major community moves that align with your values as a mother, too. That's what I'm hearing, that you're just aligning all kinds of values there. And I see Jada talk, not in her head. Okay, you're going to be in the hot seat now. You're going to be in the hot seat. Jada, introduce yourself. Tell us what Latinidad you are part of, and tell us about your business as well, and how many kids you have as well.
Well, hi everyone. I am from Puerto Rico, and I can see that Jahaira is from Puerto Rico too.
Rio Alto.
Oh, awesome. Humacao.
Awesome.
So okay, so I have one kid. He is 12 years old. He is the reason why I'm here in Madison, Wisconsin. Otherwise, I would be in Puerto Rico. And let's see, maybe 2017. By the end of 2016, I started my business, Axios Life Coaching, and I focus mostly on grief and trauma. And I mean, I deal with a lot of just emotional stuff or coaching. And it all stems from trauma, right? And it's all part of grief. So I deal with love and loss a lot. And that is my business. I also work for as the operations director of Collaboration for Good, which is a nonprofit that works to level or to reach equity, racial equity, and build capacity so that the BIPOC community earns dinero, right? And are not afraid, as Jasmine was saying, of charging what they have to charge, paying themselves well, and get over that. I would say, like, wanting to help everybody for free, thing that we Latinos kind of have.
That's my
So
problem.
yeah, so that corporation works specifically on that. We have Social Good Accelerator, which is training basically, and Araceli was part of that, was basically training people exactly to do that, and bypass all that bendito or that pena, and doing, giving yourself for free to other people because you are the nurturing mama of everyone. So we do that. We do a lot of data for good, and enable access to, just create a better environment for the laborer, and also raise the equality in all spaces, not only economically, although economically is the main aspect of it, but also emotionally and professionally. And that is the collaboration for good. And that's what I do. That pains. I think that discrimination against us is a pain for me. Discrimination for being woman is a pain for me, and a lot of the violence that you inherit just because you're a woman in this society. I think that is a great pain. And that I can't hear you.
Do you feel like being a mom to a boy gives you to a male for does that give you like a different insight about like your parenting? Like how does that inform your parenting?
Well, I have a big job in my hands because I don't want to raise my boy to be the same as a lot of other boys,
Mm-hmm.
or partners that I've had, or people that, you know, that are just around. So it's a it's a big job. It's a big job. And it does, and for him, my son, he's autistic. So it's kind of it's a double thing. So I've learned to really pause and slow everything down and learn about the processes of just like how neurologically we learn, what are the things that, and how things should be said.
Yep.
Learning a lot of nonviolent communication, and a lot of different way of raising that my parents, how my parents raised me is not the same way that we are raising right now, you know, and allowing that voice and stepping back. It's also, growing as a parent and as a person.
We just want to say thank you to everyone who's like watching and clocking in. Thank you so much. I'm seeing so many people like giving us comments that they're so grateful for joining all of these amazing women. Thank you so much for sharing your story, Jada. And yeah, we are here celebrating. We're taking over some space for Latina mothers, for Mexicana mothers, for Puerto Rican mothers, for all Latina mothers here for Midwest Mujeres. And we're talking about like something we don't even talk about too much in our own group, which is like the challenges and joys of being a mother. And what does that mean? How does that inform us? How does being a mother right now inform us in ways that, like Jada was saying, these are not ways that they taught us back in the day. And I know I have some amazing mothers, and we brought up this subject of like mothering boys, and I saw Shady like nodding her head because we have seen Tolan at so many of our community events. Shady, would you love to like introduce yourself and talk a little bit about like how many children you have? How does that inform your mothers? What are the challenges and wins that you can share with us today? And how can people connect with you too?
Hi, so my name is Shadera Kilfoy Flores. My friends call me Shady. Um, so I have a daughter who's 23, graduating from the UW of Madison in 5 days. So I feel super accomplished. Then my son Tolan, he's 13, and they're both I'm Chicana, and so they're both Afro Chicanos. Their fathers are black. From the US. And so they have this, duality of Chicanismo, but also like Yasmin was talking about, having real strong sense of Black pride. Has also been very important in raising my kids.
Yeah, talk about that. Like, how has that been a challenge, and like to the organizing, to all of that you do?
Well, so I'm a single mom. I knew pretty much when I was pregnant that I was going to be a single mom. I was not in super long relationships with either one of their fathers. And so on the one hand, I kind of knew that, whatever was going to happen was going to be on me to make it happen. And so luckily I have a really good community in terms of people that I grew up with. I graduated from Shabazz here in Madison, and I have a really close knit group of other girlfriends, Black, brown, Indigenous moms. We were all young moms and raised our kids together. So it was much that whole it takes a village. We raised our children that way, kind of as a village, since we were all young moms. So this whole like COVID concept of mutual aid, that's what we've been doing since our babies were in diapers. If someone didn't have enough diapers or have enough food, we would always help one another out. And so that's part of why I've been a very successful mom, is because I've had a lot of help from my family, from my mother, my sisters, but then also from my community, from my sisters, from other misters. So I've had a lot of other women that have really helped parent. One day I was in a car accident. Araceli came and picked up my kids so I could go to the hospital. So it's that kind of parenting that's been really helpful. Other parents in the community, but really also having a very strong sense of self. I think knowing the issues that I had growing up, the only Chicana in my family. My family is in the U.S. My family's white. I'm a first generation Mexican American, so I'm the very first one on my Mexican side to be born in the United States. And then my father returned to Mexico, and so there was a lot of when I was a toddler. So I had actually learned Spanish before English. Spanish is actually my first language, but English is now my primary language in our house. And so I think, knowing a lot of those obstacles of feeling disconnected from my culture and not wanting for my children to feel that same disconnectedness. So it's been very important for me to try to make those cultural connections for my children. So
and those cultural connections, how have they guided you to the work you're doing? So I put everybody in the chat. I'm sorry, I busted you out, Shady. I put on our Meet the Chair and Vice Chair of the Madison's First Police Civilian Oversight Board. Okay.
So
y'all are dealing with some major chingonas over here. We got a PhD. We got owners of like multi businesses, starting corporations. We got Milwaukee's represented here. You got international Puerto Rican, Mexican women here, Afro-Latinas, raising Mexican children. I'm raising a queer daughter. You got a big mix here, friends. You got a real big mix of Midwestern Mujeres. So I just wanted to call that in, that you're also the chair and vice chair of the Madison First Police Civilian Oversight Board.
Yes. So I've been a major disruptor for a long time, or a community organizer, actually, since I was a teenager. I did a lot of community organizing. And so how that has led into the work that I'm doing now is that our neighbor, Tony Robinson, was murdered by a police officer. And so having done a lot of social justice advocacy and also knowing where there are some holes is part of how I ended up on the board, the police oversight, the civilian oversight board. And so what we're doing now is we're hiring our very first independent police monitor. That monitor will have the power of subpoena, which will make our board and will make that independent monitor the strongest board and the strongest independent monitor in the entire country, because of that work. And so, yeah, so it's taking social justice and equity to a whole nother level of accountability, right? Because we as civilians, we're held accountable for everything that we do. If we park in the wrong place, but
if you park in the wrong place or you happen to look at somebody weird, it happens.
Yep.
And
so it's now how to have a system of accountability for police. So that's what my focus is on right now is police accountability.
Another activist in our midst, but I think she got out of it already.
Can I ask a question to Shadaida or no?
Please, yes, go ahead.
We'll pop a question, Shadira. Well, we're waiting for Joanna Love, so I'm having a little tech issues with Joanna.
So, how would that monitor that you are trying to? I mean, that it's going to happen. Will monitor, like, for example, violence against women and responses to restraining orders?
So right now, because the Office of the Independent Monitor, we have an ordinance. That's basically what we go by is our local statute, our city ordinance, and that is what guides the board and what guides that. But in terms of adding things to their responsibility, especially in terms of making recommendations, right? Because basically what we are is a body who the community will look towards for recommendations. And so recommendations that we could make based on, say, data that says, hey, we have these two officers who consistently are showing up at domestic situations and they're not holding the, let's say the data was pointing to the fact that these officers were not protecting the victims in the situation. And so it will be up to the data analyst and then the independent monitor to then make a case of why those officers would need to be held accountable. Now, most likely those types of things won't be like red flagged unless a civilian comes in and says this happened to me. And so it will be up to that independent monitor to have a working relationship with the community, that the community could feel, hey, let's talk to the independent monitor and see if they can, if I have a valid complaint to then take to the police and fire commission, because it's actually the police and fire commission that do the hiring, the firing, and any type of accountability that has to go through the police and fire. So we, the civilian oversight board, would make a recommendation, or the independent monitor would make a recommendation, and then it would be up to the police and fire commission to act on our recommendation, or it would be the common council, the city council, they would have to act on our recommendation. So we don't necessarily have the power of holding police accountable, but we do have the power to make a recommendation for other bodies to do that. So. Sorry, it's really
Thank you.
complicated, and I'm trying to figure out how to make
No,
it.
thank you. That's awesome. We need to get together.
Absolutely, yeah.
I was muted. And with that, no, I would love to introduce as well Mad Town Mama's board member, Margarita. Margarita's child also has a disability, and she's a single mom too, and has been an early supporter of Midwest Mujeres. Margarita, will you talk a little bit about you being a mom in this day and age with a child with disabilities, and how you've been an advocate on a state level for your son as well? I don't know if you can hear us, Margarita. Hello? And we didn't really talk about who would go next or not. So Margarita might have stepped away from the mic. Hello? We can't hear you because you're muted, Margarita, in case you're there. And if not, we can move on to the next woman. Oh, we do have a comment from our stage viewers, from our viewers. Maria Hernandez as well has been such a great supporter of Midwest Mujeres. Gracias, Maria. And this is her name. Her comment is, I'm from Uruguay. I have 2 kids. Riley is 15 years old and Mia is 5. And right now I'm not working due to a knee injury I had last November. I'm dealing with depression, anxiety as well with my oldest. I have been struggling a lot due to my disability, not having a job, discrimination against my kid who is part of the LGBTQ plus community. I'm right there with you, Mia. You know that. I'm struggling because my kid has been bullied at school, and they have attended some prairie school this year. And I'm feeling that. Who here is not feeling that? When our kids are being bullied, we're not happy moms, right? There's no way we can work in our society. And we're bringing in all this intersectionality as Latina mothers. We've been talking, it doesn't surprise me that our first couple of minutes, we're talking about first 30 minutes, we're talking about the Civilian Oversight Police Committee, because most of our children are having some interaction with the police in our community. So as Midwest Mujeres mothers and Latinas mothers, that is the reality in which we often are there. Oh, I have here anybody want to talk to Maria about this, and what kind of situations or things that we could offer her right now, right quick? Anybody want to
I couldn't see her. I can't read her entire message.
Yeah,
but Maria, if you need a session with me, I would be glad to give you some pinpointers and on dealing with that depression and that anxiety, and also with your kid. So if you can write me just privately, I would be glad to just say, have a more intimate conversation with you and give you something deeper than what I can say right here, because I feel that there is a lot there to untangle, and also to make you, to make you feel powerful in the middle of the surgery and all of what you're dealing with, because you're not only dealing with not being at your job, you're dealing with discrimination and disability in other levels. So it's complex. It's compounded. So just reach out, please, and let's have a talk.
Let's have a talk. And I know for Midwest Mujeres, I've been wanting to start that LGBTQ Latina parenting circle exclusively for Midwest Mujeres. And we have quite a few different circles for those of us who are watching. We got circles about comida. We got circles about content development. We got circles about civil rights. We just talked about that a little bit as well. And we really should establish a circle for Latina mothers dealing with children with disabilities. And we do have Padres y Hijos, and I'm really excited for them as well. But something that's online too, where we can quickly get information. I love that. Thank you so much, Maria says. She says, I love that. I would love to speak to you. Aquí me dice, hola, buenas tardes. Ahora sí tuve la oportunidad de verlas. Gracias. We got some people coming in. Sí, porque es martes, no es domingo. Todo el domingo se fueron a la comida, que el día de las... Pero hoy es el día. Hoy es nuestro día. And es bonito tenerlo durante la semana. I think it's really nice to have it during the week and celebrate all these chingona mothers that we have. Larissa, for whatever reason, I can't get you on my stream. I wanted to highlight you here and talk to you a little bit about also your experience as a mother of two children who are dealing with recent surgery and so forth, and also being an activist. Margarita, I would love for you to tune in as well, and Stephanie and Jaras, speak to us. Who wants to go next about being a mother and the challenges and the wins and how parenting and being a Latina shape your business?
I can go.
Okay.
So I have a son. I'm a first-time mother. He is 2. He's going to turn 3 in June. And the things that I've experienced from when I gave birth to him, unfortunately, I developed a condition called postpartum preeclampsia.
¿Qué es
And
eso? Perdón.
I'm
Ya nos
sorry.
ibas a decir lo que es, ¿verdad? Y
Yeah.
yo de argüendera ya estoy. ¿Qué es eso?
So postpartum preeclampsia is when you have really elevated blood pressure and protein in your urine. This can cause damage to your main organs like your liver and your kidneys. Besides your heart and your brain, obviously. So I was, when my baby was a newborn, I was really frustrated because the first couple of months I couldn't be with him. His father had to do that. And I was frustrated because I did not want all that pressure on him because at the time he was also working. But I was going back and forth between, the house and the hospital because my blood pressure wouldn't go down. I was at risk of a stroke. I was at risk of a heart attack. Till this day, I'm still having issues with my blood pressure. I am managing it though with medication, but I think that was one of the scariest experiences I have ever had to go through being a first time mom because there was a time where I was at the hospital, my heart monitor just went crazy. And I was aware of what was happening, and I had family members in the room. I had nurses coming in and coming out. They had to bring the trash cart in. In my mind, I remembered, like, if I close my eyes, I can hear everything, I can see everything, and it's a little bit traumatizing. Sometimes when I think about pregnancy, it gives me anxiety because of what happened. But I was sitting on the bed, I was holding my nurse's hand because my heart was beating so fast. The heart monitor sounded like a tornado alarm. It was the craziest experience that I've gone through. But I am thankful to my nurses, my doctors, and God that He was able to allow me to go through that experience. Because then, if I know someone that it's currently going through the same thing, I can share that experience and share the things that I did to help myself and the different resources and the different people that I went to reach for help that can also help other people. So I'm glad. It's scary. It was scary, yes, but I'm glad that I went through something like that because then I can use it positively to help, other people. In terms of my son, right now he has a speech delay, so it's a little bit tricky. Trying to, understand him. I get a little bit frustrated sometimes because I don't only have to. He's a person. He's a human being. I have to learn how to know how he is so I can better take care of him. But then when it comes to me being able to communicate with him and him having that little bit of a speech delay, it's kind of frustrating. But he's doing good right now. He is what is it called? He's seeing a speech therapist online, and then here at home we do different activities. So I'm really glad he has actually improved a lot from a year maybe and a half that he was diagnosed with a speech delay.
That's amazing. That in a year and a half you've already seen this results, and it's
Yes, and that's because I reached out for help. I feel that
okay, people, you just heard it because she reached out for help.
if
No
I
lo
would,
podemos hacer todas solas. No lo podemos hacer solas. Okay, you need to reach out for help.
yes, if you see something odd in yourself or in your child, don't be scared to reach out for help because there's people out there that will help you. Like God will always God will put the right people in your life so things can work out for you. So don't be scared to reach out for help, because that's what I did. And thanks to that, my son, his speech is better, and even though it's still a little bit like frustrating, but he's doing great because again I reached out for help. So yeah, I don't know if I covered everything. Am I missing?
How does okay, like you have a little business, not little, it's gonna grow. You got a whole world, a website that's out of world. I already peeped it. I just been peeping in the back, so everyone can hear me clicking, and it's because I want to connect these threads. Midwest Mujeres is all about these threads and all these circles, and we create this telaraña, no? This like esta tela de gente, and how do we weave ourselves in? And I really believe that these stories that we're talking about tonight are really weaving in the foundation of Midwest Mujeres and calling in like all of our identities. How does the identity of having a child with, have some rough beginnings, how does that like change your course of being a career woman too? Because you also, tú tienes su escuela, usted tuvo una carrera, y todo. ¿Puedes hablar de eso?
Yeah, well, I had my child after I graduated from college, so that was 5-6 years apart, maybe 7. So it didn't really cause any like issues with me trying to go to school and attend to him. Now I do have a graphic design business, and I also have a personal blog where I share little tips and little things about my life. I think Araceli put the link for my personal blog, Jari's World, so you guys can check that out. But it gives me anxiety because I want to contribute financially to my family. And I have to work for that. But at the same time, I have to focus on more than just the basics for my son because of his speech delay. So trying to kind of like have a balance, it's a little bit hard, especially because the way I manage my time, it is not the best neither. I do have ADHD, so that is something else I gotta deal with. So in terms of like him having like I have the word in my head and I can say it. A delay, I can kind of, how can I say it? Because growing up, I had a speech delay too. So yeah, the way I can use my experiences to help him out. And that's one of the things that I don't know if you have already noticed. That's one of the things that I love to do a lot. I love to use my experiences to help other people in any way I can. So, how can I explain it? Like I try to look at what happened to me and try to do the opposite so he doesn't have to go through it. So, for example, with like my ADHD, I was diagnosed with the ADHD like last year. My entire life, I struggle learning how to learn other people, the world around me, because I was not diagnosed at an early age. And unfortunately, maybe my parents didn't have the resources, or the healthcare back then was not as good as it is now. So they were not able to cash it on time. So what I do is I really pay attention to him. I really pay attention to how he is as a human. And if I see something off again, I reach out for help. Reach out for help. So yeah, that's how I try to like manage things, use my experiences to help him out and reach out for help. That's basically how I try to handle everything. I don't know if that answers your question or if
it does. No, it does.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you for talking about that, like how your own journey of finding your own disability too felt like you were helping your child, and then just like the burden of like every Latina who is in una, either a single parent or in a relationship, that responsibility, right? That responsibility, even knowing how challenging it was to have your child, you still have that burden of cloak, and that's just like instilled in us in such a way. I don't know if it's good or bad sometimes, right? And we also have, I just wanted to ask if Larissa, if you could say something. We're trying to make sure that she's on here still. Larissa, could you try saying something and see if it works? See, that one's Jasmine. Okay. See if I remove her from the stream and see if it comes back in. No, it won't. Okay. Well, we have Margarita as well. And thank you so much, Maria, for joining us. Margarita, would you like to talk now about your experiences as well as being a mother?
Sure. I am the mother of a 15-year-old, soon to be 16-year-old in a few weeks. He also has lives with disabilities. He has several diagnoses, and he's had a challenging life. Everyone has been talking about, how we were raised. I was raised by the chancla, la cuchara, whatever, la
That's
matamoscas,
Will you talk about that, about chancla culture? Because that's been a whole thing online, chancla culture. Talk about that.
It's muy diferente. It's so different from, how we grew up, it's hard to balance that, especially if you have like your first child. It's hard to bring both cultures together.
So Google defines it as the use of oppressive strategies, including corporal punishment, shame, fear, to manipulate children into behaving. Oh, thank you, Google. All I ever knew was like duck and hurry.
Yeah. Correle. And I also live with chronic pain, and I have depression and anxiety. It's been a tough road with my son, and also trying to balance his needs with my needs. And I'm so used to putting my needs on the back burner. That's what we're supposed to do as women, as mothers, as wives, as girlfriends. We're always supposed to put things on the back burner. And it came to the point where I wasn't really able to function day to day. It came to be too much. And I got into therapy. And, when you're Latina, it's like you never go to therapy. Why would you go to therapy? What do you need to go to therapy for? You have your mana, you can talk to your friend, you can talk to whoever. But, it came to be too much, and I had to snap out of it, and I was in a car accident, and I had COVID, and Araceli, you were one of the main people that were helping, and my son and I with food and the meal train and everything. And it was wonderful. And COVID really brought a lot of people down. And it's hurtful to say something like this, but, people that normally would never have been touched with depression and mental health and things like that, COVID hit everybody. They didn't, COVID didn't care if you had money or not, or where you came from. It hit a lot of people. And, it's sad to say, but thankfully to those families being affected, now more attention is being paid. My child suffers from mental health challenges as well. And it's, everyone's talking about it takes a village. And, I'm the kind of person that always tries to look and reach out, for help and assistance, and how can I get help? And sometimes it doesn't come through. It doesn't, work out the way you think it will. And, somebody might say, oh yeah, I'll be there, I got you. And then they're not. And they might say something about your kid, or they might do something disrespectful. And it's like, dude, come on, just, But I am a member, one of the founding members of a group called Madtown Mamas and Disability Advocates. And it's supposed to help families who have children in the special education system in Madison, and not just in Madison, like in Wisconsin. And so if there's any families out there, I struggle to maneuver through special education, the meetings, the IEP meetings, the paperwork, knowing your rights. It's really important. If anybody has any questions, reach out. If you can't speak Spanish, that's okay, porque yo sí hablo español. And that's one thing. It's challenging enough to try to get through it when you know the language, So if anybody needs any help, reach out. My son and I are also members of Padres Hijos en Acción with Hector Portillo.
Hi.
He does that was my son. He has, a really great organization, a really great group. We try to do things together, again, like a village. Hacemos jardinería, estamos en bicicleta, hacemos picnic. We're constantly trying to do activities together as a group, because as everyone knows, it's really hard for someone to go out into the community with their kids.
And
But
especially
it's
if
so
you're
much,
not of the language and the culture, right? So,
yeah.
you know, and we have Spanish families and we have mixed language families. You know, tenemos familias que totalmente hablan español, no totalmente hablan en inglés. And so I think that what you're talking about, it sounds like the group, both Metal Mamas and Padres y Hijos, are dedicated for cultural integration as well.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And I'm also a member of the board for Pay Me, which is a group, you know, that's based out of Milwaukee. You're smiling there, Araceli. Based out of Milwaukee, and that's for mental health as well. And I'm also on the parent advisory for special education, the school board. Not the school board, but it's the parent advisory council for special education, and we meet every month. And so we have a meeting about how we can make the school district better for special education. So that's another in too that I have with Nancy Mulfenter, who is the director for special education in Madison. So yeah, if anybody needs help, reach out. You know, I think I might have to reach out to Jara too and say, hey, you know, I might need a little help. And yeah, because, you know, like you said, people help each other. We know how it feels like to be, you know, alone or feel lonely or feel not enough, or, you know, and, you know, to all the madres out there, you know, felicidades, you know, feliz Día de las Madres, you know, siga adelante, tú puedes, you know, hermosas, preciosas, lindas, bellezas, todo, you know.
Exacto. Qué bello. Gracias, Margarita, for introducing yourself and talking and calling in that space, that inclusion, that radical inclusion space. And I call it radical inclusion because being from a different culture, being from a different community, and then being in public, that's hard enough. That's just hard enough, just not looking white in this community, much less putting that on top of having to do it, you know, with your child who has a disability that's very apparent, you know. And I've, you know, I myself have been in those situations as an advocate and as a mother as well. So I'm really excited. Thank you so much for the help that you give her for parents and advocate on a state level. And so I didn't really plan this, y'all. I just said a couple of my girlfriends, I just put out the call. I said 10 of y'all need to come over here and look at us. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of us here. I want to welcome in Stephanie Munoz. Stephanie, you also have a child that is very beautiful. You're also a mujer que is like doing so much in our community, talking about children and advocacy, where you're working at, and talk to us about your child and children and life, and tell us what's up, Stephanie. Gracias.
Buenas tardes. Stephanie Munoz, she, hers, ella pronouns. I can't even begin to speak about my motherhood without centering mis madres, right? Mi mamá, mi abuela, who gave everything for me to be the woman and the mother that I am. I am the mother of a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful 3-year-old daughter, also named Camila, who is also Black and Latina. My family is from Colombia. And the work that I do, as Araceli spoke to, I do policy research, analysis, and advocacy at Kids Forward. My main issue areas are racial equity, so really looking at eliminating racial disparities across all well-being factors, particularly for children and families. And then the other area that I do some work on is immigration, which is a newer issue area for us. When I think about some of the wins and challenges of parenting, one of the major wins for me is the ability to hold my privilege and my place in the world, to unlearn the things that I've picked up along the way, and to parent my daughter in a way that feels different than what I'm used to. And as I said, as I started centering mi mamá y mi abuela, a major win for me is bringing them that journey, although it's different than how they were mothered and how they chose to mother and were able to mother. they have come along fully in that journey with me and with my partner. And so, even when things are challenging, a small example, right? Potty training, we just did that. And we were really going with like, que lo haga cuando quiera, like we didn't really do a thing. And my grandma, like her way of doing it was to like really talk to her about it a lot and be like, no, es que eres niña grande y tienes que hacerlo en el baño. Eres niña grande y tienes que hacerlo en el baño. And for us to be like, hey, we're really not going to do that. Like you're not coming from a bad place and you're trying to help us in this journey and help her learn, but we really want to take off the pressure and like not really do that. And she was kind of like, oh, okay, all right, then I guess I won't, and being able to have that conversation has been such a beautiful thing to be part of, to experience and to have my daughter be witness to and experience. And when I think about some of the challenges in being her mom in this place, I think that my job as her mom is to ensure that she is in a place where she can thrive as a little human.
Yeah.
And I often struggle with believing that Madison, Wisconsin is the best place for her to do that.
Why? Why? Tell us. Although I can imagine why, but I want to hear from you.
I'm originally from LA, east side of Los Angeles, time in the Valley. And, my whole world was black and brown, just little things, right? In terms of exposure. My partner is a black man, and he says when we started dating, one of the things he was most shocked about was my taste in music and the fact that I knew some of the music that his mom listened to and the music that he grew up with. And I could also get down with some bachata and some reggaeton and some norteñas, right? Because I'm from LA, where although I'm Colombian, a lot of my world was Mexican. And so I'm used to just that inherent diversity, just living amongst it and feeling it in the culture and in the air and in the people that you are amongst. So that's one thing, right? Madison is certainly not that way. And then I think about the fact that my daughter is Black and Latina, and Madison is not quite in a place where those two communities are necessarily the most united, connected, and in love and nurturing with one another.
Okay, talk about that. Talk about it. Yeah, it's a real thing. And we've talked about this in our podcast about the disunity between Black and brown women, Black and brown people, Black and brown children in Wisconsin. There's a definite, it's made to hurt us. The system here is made for each of us to hurt each other.
Yeah, I mean, we live in Madison, Wisconsin, right? Look at our history, look at our demographics. We are a community that's built for whiteness and for white people. And so those white folks with all the money and the resources have really done a good job of making folks of color believe that like they have to pick to service this community or that community or this initiative or that initiative. And so I think that that's at the root of a lot of the stuff that we see here. And, I haven't done enough learning and experiencing of deeper reasons or like the historical context. And I'm sure other folks know much more about that for me. And not to say that it is, that is an image of every person and every family and every neighborhood, right? There are folks that are certainly in community and in love and in one another. But I think about that, right? I think about how we make decisions about where she goes to school. Are we going to go with, a model that roots and centers her Blackness, or are we going to go DLI because we don't really have a system that includes both, right?
Oh, yes.
What does that mean? And how are we making that choice?
Why do we have to make that choice?
Right.
We shouldn't have to take our kids out of a regular school environment in order for them to have, racial to cultural inclusion or languages put in. I don't want to be separated from my white peers. I want my white peers to learn about my culture too. Can we all be DLI and RJ for racial justice and restorative justice practice as well?
Yeah. So, part of my work, and the work that I do is working to make sure that I don't have to make those choices, and that my daughter doesn't have to make those choices, and that other moms, dads, and caregivers and parents don't have to make those choices, because we deserve more and we deserve better.
We definitely do. We definitely do this. And I thank you so much, Stephanie, for calling in all of those systems and calling in your own privilege and just like the perspective that you bring from coming outside of Wisconsin to from like a very predominantly brown and black area like LA. I think we lose sight of that. I know I like to keep in touch with all of my West Coast, East Coast brothers and sisters and Raza, because that's where I've been able to gain some of this knowledge and gain some of my, fight against internalized racism that was seeded in me without me really wanting it to be, right? I want to call in another chingona, Larissa. We got you. You keep on seeing me in the background, y'all, like going like this because we finally got her on our stream. And then we'll talk to you as well, Maria. Please stay with us. Please stay with us. I know we're down to 2 people. It's 8 o'clock, top of the hour. This is how long it takes to do a community circle for Midwest Mujeres. We could be here all night. This could be like a conference, whatever. But this is why we're doing this, is so that, please share this video with other folks so that they can learn too, that we can undo these hurts. Talk about it. Talk about it, Joanna. I'm glad that you got us. We are ready for you. Tell us about your kids. Tell us about
Okay. You can hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I'm so sorry for all the troubleshooting I had going on. Well, I'm Larissa Joanna, and I'm here in Madison, Wisconsin. I'm Mexican, was raised in Milwaukee, so not very far from Madison, but Madison is home now. I am a statewide activist and advocate for Black and Brown racial justice and the undocumented community. And I think it's really important. I'm really grateful for this spaces that you, Araceli, and Midwest Mujeres create for women and single mothers like myself. And it's really important because we are often something that I have heard over and over. I think everybody has said we're often really, really busy, that we don't find enough. We just don't have that privilege of time and money to be everywhere all the time, because we have to raise our children. Tenemos que trabajar bien duro, and it's a really struggle. But I guess that when we go when we go back to our values and what we really in this world for, and when we see our children growing up and we don't want them to struggle like we have, it's important and very, very vital to continue the fight. La lucha siempre sigue, siempre hay algo que luchar. So it's really important to make sure that we're advocating for our children and other children, so that maybe in a near future things will start to be better for everyone, especially our Black and Brown children that are the ones that fall behind in every, from education to health. Sorry, my kids are screaming in the background right now. Right. But it's really important that we may talk about these things that sometimes we feel ashamed of, because we might think we're the only ones going through these things, but we really are not alone. We are all in this together, and it's really important to stick together as a community. I think that I couldn't even imagine how would how did I survive for the last 2-3 years, that not just COVID, but my daughter went in for a heart surgery, kind of like in an emergency from 1 week we knew something, the next week they wanted us in the surgery room, and taking time off work, being a single mom, it's just not even possible. So I was really lucky to have and blessed to have my community that came together to support me through that time, because I was also fighting my own health situation, that it was really important to me to address, because I have children that I want to be here for them and with them. For those who don't know, I was fighting cancer cells, and it was really hard for me to think that something can happen to me, and my children will be left behind without the person that's there with them almost every day of their life. Because my mom does help me a lot as well, but they are with me all the time. And even when we are out there in la lucha fighting, when we have to advocate for ourselves and our communities, my children are with me. We have a lot of community members that I already are really engaged with my children and always help me look out for them when we're participating in this actions of advocacies to make the world better for ourselves and for them mainly, right? Because that's what we do as mothers, and for other youth that are coming into this adult life, that it's really hard right now. Like, things are getting really hard for seasoned adults that been dealing with paying rent, dealing with building your credit, and having a car. And right now things are really, really, it's sad because things are really expensive. Rent is pretty expensive, food is expensive, and I feel really like we need to create a better world and advocate for, so that workers have better rights and better livable wages and everything that we can think of in our communities, that we continue to live in this country that it's rooted in racism and classism, and we need to struggle and support each other. So it's really important for me to be part of these spaces and continue to grow together as a community of Latinas chingonas que vamos siguiendo adelante, but we had to stick together and support each other, and continue to advocate and do what's really best for our children, that they might not all of them don't have the experience in advocating for themselves, but we had to show them that their voice is really powerful. So it's really, really inspiring to me when I see little children and youth participating in actions that I myself organize for the community, or with other organizations and groups that are out here doing the work.
You really do. You really bring the kids out from the playground, and you tell us. And as you can see, sunshine, rainbow. That's a beautiful, amazing trans person that you have been working with for so many years. Trans poeta, poetics, sunshine, rainbow. Wanted to call them in here. Hey, Queens, happy Mother's Day to y'all. Sending y'all lots of love. I've been to their shows. I've been to both of y'all's shows. Joanna and Sunshine Rainbow have this amazing, like, long-term friendship for spanning on activism, spanning on intersectionality, like really bringing in LGBTQ rights and immigrant rights and Black and brown rights and just melding in. So I've always admired you two's relationship. I just wanted to let you know that your compadres is here in this space. Joanna, I just wanted to let you know that Sunshine Rainbow came in right away early and was like, hello, mothers. And so I just could hear their voice. And from the moment I saw both of y'all taking up on the streets and taking the stage together, I'm like, this is special. This right here does not happen everywhere. And we wanted to have it everywhere. And that's so beautiful. Thank you so very much. I put your PayPal on flags for everyone so they can help pay you. Considering your daughter just went through some heart surgery. And yet last week you were like bringing over like 300 kids down East Washington. Hello, friends. She is that mom. Thank you, Joanna. Thank you. You are a treasure to Madison. You are a treasure, and we need to treat you like that treasure. En esa reina chingona que te queremos tanto, tanto. ¡Mua! Un beso.
Thank you so much. Feliz Día de las Madres.
Sí, hoy para las Días de las Madres yo te quería dar nomás esa porra, ese apoyo. Mira, aquí nos están ya diciendo feliz Día de las Madres. No, no te me vayas, ya se me fue esta otra amiga. Margarita ya se me fue, ya se cansó de esperar. No, no te me vayas, María. María regresa, María Hernández. Ahorita hemos estado aquí, amigos, for like over an hour, and we had one more. Okay, maybe she'll come back in. Maybe she might pop in. Is there any kind of words of advice, like as being Latina mothers? We had Maria, who had originally talked to us in the chat, and then I brought her into the chat, into this conversation, but maybe she'll come right back. It looks like somebody's trying to get back in here. And she really called in like, hey, I'm struggling right now. What are the things? And we talked about community. We talked a little bit of bilateral violence that sometimes that we feel as community women, as community mothers, that when we take our kids out in public, either we get the looks, the stares. Right away, we had to talk about the criminal justice system. Shadira brought that in, that aspect she brought in, because as Latina mothers, we are dealing with the criminal justice system. You might. That is that reality. Our children might be Afro-Latinos, and we know how we're treated. And even just as Latinos, we'll be treated differently because of our first names or last names and the way we look, right? Because and that can cause a lot of other issues. And as mothers, we have all of those burdens. What are some things? I know Maria left us right now. Por favor, regresa, and we'll bring you in and talk about this. But Feliz Día de las Madres. ¿Qué hay una lección en todo eso? What's the takeaway from all of this, for all of this story sharing and collaborating and talking about our stories? What's the takeaway?
Can I say something? This is Margarita.
Yes.
I want to say, no te rindes. Don't give up. For every one person that's going to be like looking at your kid sideways or whatever, there's always going to be 2 or 3 more somewhere else that you can reach out to, that you can talk to. Don't give up, and just remember that you're not alone. That's, you do feel a shame, right? Because you're talked to and told, don't say anything. Don't talk about your problems. It's always quiet. Don't do that, because you know that somebody else is going through that, and that's going to hook you two together.
Yes.
Like Maria just reached out. So guess what? She's, out of all of us, she'll probably connect with half of us. And those half people will give Maria information, and then Maria will turn around, and if she comes across somebody that's struggling, hey, she's going to go up to that person and be like, hey, guess what I just found out? I found out this resource, or I found that I can talk to Jara, or I can talk to somebody about anything, Even
in our audience right now, we had people giving us a bunch of links. So I have G Safe is on here, Voces de la Frontera. I also put up here Love Inc. Somebody was saying that they pointed us to Love Inc. Kids Forward, I put that down on here as well. Padres en Hijos, we put Meta Mamas on here as well. And yes, everyone's saying, Margarita, thank you for saying all of that. People are just like,
because and my son is 15. He struggles with many disabilities. He has come across some police contact, and they have been understanding and everything, so that's been good. And it is sad, but that's something that I tell my son. You'll come across many different kinds of people, and you'll soon find out if they're there to stay with you and really be your friend, or if they're just being fake people. And that's really sad. And he does get upset about it, and we have those conversations. It's like, well, honey, you know what, papi, that's life. That is life. Que siguen su camino para el otro lado, I don't care.
Absolutely. And I've been helping. I mean, we've all coached each other and been that mother for each other. And I think that's what you're saying too. Somebody on Facebook said to us, we are not alone. We are a tight-knit community, and not in the same neighborhood, but as Latinas, as women, chingonas. Yeah, we might not be in the same neighborhood, but we are, as Latinas, we are a community of chingonas. Absolutely. And just like, you're not alone. And I heard somebody else wanting to come in and chime in. Feel free to unmute yourself.
Oh, if you could also add Reshaping Madison and the Social Accelerator for Good.
Yeah.
Please. And I think my advice is that many times you're not alone, but there are times in which you are alone, where you may be the first, you may be the only, but that there are people there to support you, and rather than suffering as a victim, instead thrive as a survivor. So
Yeah.
that's my recommendation.
Yeah.
Because
And
there are many times where we might be the only one, or we might be the first one, and that's okay, right? Because being groundbreakers is what we need, right? For there to be more, like we were talking about, more advocacy and equity. There are going to be many times where you might feel alone, but there are people there who really are cheering you on. So there's a lot of times I know I feel alone in a lot of the work that I do, but I also know that there's a lot of people cheering me on. So
absolutely. Unfortunately, the generator closed for the Social Good for Madison generator application time. Just I looked on their website right now, and unfortunately, that closed. Midwest Mujeres will be having their own 5-week creator social content, how to be chingona on LinkedIn, coming up in the fall. And I know Generator, Urban League. There's several. There's several in the community right now. I know Sabrina Madison, the Center for Black Women, Progress Center for Black Women is also doing their focus generator and accelerator programs. And what's so beautiful about these programs is that they're short run. They're centering women of color in so many ways, but also just centering people who have been discentered and disenfranchised by the supremacy type of community, for lack of a better word. As Jasmine, as Stephanie have spoken to, as Shadira has spoken to, any other wise words, women? Mujeres chingonas, bellas, díganos, ¿qué más? We are
well, I just wanted to add for Maria, all of what Margarita and Shadira, said. I think that her reaching for help is the first step, right? And now, as Margarita said, we are there, we are here, we're going to be with her. I reached out to her, so I'm just waiting for her response. And I think that this is precisely in networks like this where community is created. And I think that sometimes, or I've myself thought that I've been alone, like Shadaira has things that she's alone. And I'm sure that a lot of people have thought that they are alone. But the truth is that we're surrounded with people that really want to help. And we have to go through a process of being alone, which you will go through no matter if you are with community or surrounded. But I think that just having people there to support you and just just go there, just keep going. I think that that's the magic of what community creates.
Yeah.
And what love creates. So Maria is not alone.
Maria is not alone. Papi María, regresa. No. Gracias por estar con nosotros, gente. Gracias, mi gente. Any other words? Jasmine, Stephanie, Yaras, go ahead.
I put something on the comments. I don't know if you guys can see it.
Yeah, you said here, this is why our money event is so important. We need money to advocate for our causes, money in case we get injured, money to live the life that we are supposed to, money to retire, to support our parents. Yes, I'm so tired of people saying resources. My only resource right now is money. Unless, yes, there is social capital. Yes, there are other ones, but we don't talk enough about that one. And just calling it for what it is, which is money. Thank you. Thank you, Jasmine. Jasmine was also saying that we are a sandwich generation. We have kids and parents to take care of and take care of ourselves. Absolutely. I see that Larissa would like to say something. Go ahead, Larissa.
Yeah, just super quick, adding to all the perfect wordings that has been said. It's I guess advocating with your children at school right now, and I know you mentioned, but there's a lot of groups here locally in Madison, but Reshaping Madison Together is one as well. Voces de la Frontera Madison chapter advocating for our Black and Brown children in school, along with other groups like MTI and Moms on a Mission, who we need to advocate for these resources at our children's schools, and for their better education, better food, better support in our language and Espanol, especially for children like my son who has IEP. And it has taken a lot of advocacy to advocate for help for him in Spanish, but we're finally getting there after two long years of me just fighting everyone that I am putting the pressure. But that is really important to let them know that these children has a lot of power. They're the future. They really are the future, but they also need to believe and know the power that their voices have. Because their voices matter. They're better than most of the adults that I know don't have that common sense on basic human rights. So help out your children and let them participate in all these events that the schools and advocates are putting out there for them in our community.
Absolutely. Oh, thank you so much, Lisa, for talking about that, for how long you've been dealing with this for 2 years. I can't believe it, just that long to get the right type of assistance for your child just because they have a disability. That's not right. That's 2 years of education that they've lost. This is why we're lagging in closing the wage gap. This is why the wage gap hasn't moved in the last 3 decades, only 1 penny per decade. What? How do we look so beautiful though, all at the same time? Like, really? I mean, how? I mean, you look gorgeous. We're all looking gorgeous. And we win like less money than most people. We're doing this on 55 cents on a dollar, friends. And we still look better than most. Okay. Anyway, that is my words. Not Larissa's words.
You're not lying.
Anyone else? Stephanie, we haven't heard from you. Last words. What keeps you going, Stephanie, in the nonprofit complex? Tell us. Animo guerreras, I was saying.
Yes.
That's why we're behind in math and science too. Yes, friends. Yes, it is. Go ahead.
Gracias. You know, I spoke to it earlier, the work that I do, the challenges of being in this place. Honestly, it's space like this. It's knowing that I'm not the only one experiencing the world in the way that I am, and that there are other badass women, badass mothers, papas, caregivers, folks out there lifting our babies, and that's what we're doing it for, and that they're watching, right? So that's what keeps me going. So thank you. Gracias for the space. Gracias for the brain power, the heart power that it takes to generate and sustain a space like this.
Oh, thank you, Stephanie. Gracias a ti también for being here, and gracias for our viewers for stopping. And now I put a bunch of links in these conversations. Please go visit them, go see us, go support them with resources and money. Okay, and money, that is a resource. And where do we talk about all these other resources? We all have social capital, and utilize it. Go ask for help. And if you have times like you have to be alone, that's what you have to do. And unidas jamás seremos vencidas. Qué bellas palabras. Gracias a todas por estar aquí con nosotros. Thank you all for joining us, and stay tuned because Midwest Mujeres is growing, and we have an event coming up on June 3rd at the My Arts building, and we cannot wait to see you there. Gracias a ustedes. Adiós, amigos. Adiós a todas. Bye-bye.